Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name's Collin. I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking. And today I am in San Diego, California.
Thank you so much for listening or watching, whichever you're doing for this episode. We often mention Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks on this podcast. If you're not familiar with those names, Esther is a speaker and author who channels Abraham. Abraham is described as a group of entities from beyond our physical world who share their wisdom by speaking through Esther at workshops and speaking opportunities around the world. You can find more about them by searching for either Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks on YouTube or Google or Edge, whatever browser you use. You can also find more about them at their website at abraham-hicks.com. Each week we start our discussion from a different jumping off point. And this week, Stephanie, you have our jumping off points. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so this one comes from, again, all love, all one, all love. I'll get that straight one these days. And is listening to one of their little YouTube videos that they put on, and it's all Abraham. And this line that Abraham said just struck me so well. And I'm like, oh, I have to write that down. Who cares where you are when you're on your way to where you're going? So who cares where you are when you're on your way to where you're going? And it's almost that thing of like, make peace of where you are, because what does it matter? You're on your way to where you're going.
That's
And
one of the best stories that I ever heard Abraham say, and I think it was on a YouTube video, but it was the audio recording of one of their workshops. Is that whole thing about if you're driving from Phoenix, Arizona to San Diego, California, and you know you're going to San Diego, like why on earth would you get out after driving for 2 hours and you're still in Arizona? Why would you stop the car, pull it over on the freeway, get out and be like, why am I not in San Diego? Like, it's like, because you only went 2 hours and it's a 10-hour drive. Like,
well, and we wouldn't do that, right?
right.
We wouldn't
Yeah.
do that, but yet we
Right.
do that right here
Yeah.
in our physical life. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
there yet. Well, what the heck's wrong with me? Why am I there yet? Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. We go like, oh, I made a mistake, or I'm not doing it right, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just have, it's like, so, and I also listened to one where another line was, make peace with where you are. And I was like, and it was really great to hear, because my life has changed quite a bit since December, and I've had a lot of changes in how my life was for a couple of decades, and I'm not where I want to be, in the sense of having a lot of the things that were around me then. And when I heard that, make peace with where I'm at, I think this is just a part of my journey. It's just a snapshot. And realizing that, oh, all of that stuff and better is in my vortex, and what's in my vortex is inevitable. So who cares where I am, where I'm on my way to where I'm going? And it just brought me so much peace, and reminded me of like, oh yeah, this is just the time period. It's okay. I'm not going to be here forever. And
But it's easy to understand. I agree 100%, but it's easy for me to understand why. Like, I love that story and that metaphor, but it's easy for
me
me to
too.
understand. Well, why don't we get out of the car? And it's because we can see the road and there are mile marker signs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's, I think back to, I'm a tarot and oracle card reader, and one of the people who designs a lot of the card decks that I use is this lady named Colette Baron Reed. And I remember her saying one time in one of her talks that 99% of what's really going on in the world is unseen. And I think that's what we have, at least for me, that's where I get into trouble. It's like, because I try to look at, if I'm trying to attract anything into my life, new job, new apartment, new romantic partner, whatever, I want to see the road, and I want to see the mile marker signs, and I want to know exactly, because when you're driving
Yes,
from
yes.
Phoenix to San Diego, you'll see a sign that says, "Oh, you have
But
163
you know
miles
what?
left."
But how often are those mile markers? Sometimes they're like a good 25 miles or 30 miles apart, right? And so what if we didn't see that, but we still know we're heading in that
Right,
direction, right? So that we're
right.
eventually going to get there.
I
Yet,
and that's a really good point, because I think that gets into the another great thing I learned from Abraham, which is, and I think we mentioned this a few episodes back, but to be focused on your emotions and your vibration rather than your actions and the results, the direct, immediate result of any actions that you're taking. Like, a lot of people know, if you want to look for a job, you don't send out, one resume and then like complain at 5 o'clock that day, like, why don't I have a new job? It's like, you literally just you send an email, or you put that in
yeah,
a post office thing, and
yeah.
like, how could anybody? It's like nobody's been able to read it yet, But that's kind of what we do, um, because we're focused so much on our individual actions that we came up with, and then like looking at
The
immediate
results.
results, just
Yeah,
like you're saying,
yeah,
like as
yeah.
if we're on the highway and being like, well, why isn't there a mile marker here? And but that's
Or
the
I
thing.
don't see myself. I'm not in San Diego. I don't
Yeah.
see San Diego. Like,
So it
yeah.
is
Oh man,
possible
this is so good.
it
So
is
good.
possible to have that same level of confidence, but you've got to tune into your emotions and your vibration, which tell you where you're actually at, rather than what did I
Yes.
do, and
Yes.
what do I see in the physical
Yes.
world right now as a result of that.
And I think that's what we talked about a little bit in the last episode or two, a couple weeks ago, was that the real manifestation is the emotion. Because I want
Yes.
that thing because I think I'll feel better.
Yeah.
Well, I can feel better now. I don't even have to think about that thing and I can feel better now.
Right.
So if that's what I want, well then, and it's so easy. Like I wrote
Well,
this down the other day. It's
to go back to the metaphor, like, that's, you get to San Diego if you're driving because you just have confidence that you're going to get there, and you just keep driving, right?
so then the confidence is in the law of attraction and then my ability to allow.
Yeah.
So this is another thing I heard Abraham say, and I had to write it down because it was so beautiful. You've already done the hard part, which is living the contrast. So in the living
Can you explain what contrast is?
contrast is, so when, say, what would be a good
I'm just
one?
explaining every concept that Abraham's ever come up with on this.
So contrast is when I'm living something that I don't want, or I'm living something that I don't want to live, or when I'm experiencing something that I don't want to experience. And in that moment, when I'm having, like, let's say, this doesn't happen ever. Let's say Collin and I were arguing. And in that moment, a rocket of a desire shoots out of me of like, I want us to get along. I want us to be happy, I want us to be calm and things to go smoothly. And I'm not even aware that that thought and that energy is going out because he and I are arguing. But in that moment, I've created, by living the contrast, a future moment of what I want. And so law of attraction is handling it. My inner being is on it and focused on it. Law of attraction is responding to my inner being's energy. It's there. It's energetically in the vortex, holding space for me. I'm the only holdout here. And because I'm arguing with you, I am not a vibrational match to that. Yet if later on that day I'm petting my dog, or I'm at the park and I'm with a friend and I'm having fun and I'm feeling good, then very possibly the next time you and I get together, because I'm in this higher vibration and feeling good, then we're laughing, we're like bringing out the best in each other. So in that, you've already done the hard part, which is living the contrast. And I love that, the hard part. Like, to me, the hard part is like, I got to make this happen. I got to get what I want. That's the hard part. What do I have to do to get it? I got to focus. I got to take these actions. And it's like, no, you've already done the hard part, which is living the contrast. That right there is a mind blower, because I never, and I think most of us never think that me living that experience, whatever it may be, that that's the hard part. Like
I think
that
that's
is,
the
whew,
again, not, I mean, I've mentioned this many times before on the podcast, but that was a big one of the bigger revelations for me when I was first listening to Abraham, because I had watched the film The Secret, which is about the law of attraction, and I think very helpful in many ways, especially as like an introduction to what it is and how it works.
yeah,
Um, but I definitely have that, and I still struggle with this sometimes, even though we do this podcast every single Sunday.
and when we
But
do it right, I
I'm
need to
getting
be
better.
reminded as well.
I'm getting better at not doing it, but that belief that like, well, everything's up to me and my actions and what I sort of am willing, willing into existence with my own, trying to force or control things.
Yeah,
And so I sort of, even though I got a lot out of watching The Secret, I brought my own kind of misinterpretation into it after I watched it, because I thought, oh, okay, well, they give you some tips and tools in The Secret on
right,
here's some ways you can work really well with the law of attraction to bring
right.
more of what you want into your life. But I misinterpreted that somewhat to like, oh, it's so there's this law of attraction thing, but it's still up to me, and I have to sit down and I
Yeah,
have to meditate really hard, and I have to
yeah.
visualize what I want, and
Visualize.
I have to
Yeah,
like it's already there,
yeah,
da, da,
yeah.
da. And Abraham was the one that when I started listening to their workshops, it was in their books and things on audiobooks and stuff, was that whole like redoing the step 1 2 3, meaning, just as you say, like as soon as I have something pop up in my life that I don't like, that immediately there's this instantaneous process of like, I don't like it.
The asking
that
occurs.
that creates this sort of request from like my inner being to the rest of the universe,
Hmm.
saying, okay, that's what I don't want, but here's what I do want.
Yeah.
And then the universe in that time
Step
has to
two,
create it and has to put it in what we call the or what Abraham refers to as the vortex, which is kind of this like dimensional place where it's
energetic
there, but
holding
it's not
place.
physically manifested yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't like come fully physically into my life yet. But like, so that part is already done.
I
Like,
know. It's
literally,
done.
just
It's
doing that,
done. You ask and it is
we're doing
given. I
it
love
all the
that.
time without
Yeah.
even thinking about it. And so the only step that we really have to do is not so much a forcing of going out and controlling something, it's the opposite. It's getting our vibration into a state where it's like relaxed and allowing
Receiving
that
the
thing to come, that's
receptivity.
already been created, to just
Yeah.
flow into our life in and the more at ease, the more in joy, the more in happiness, in relaxation that we are, the swifter and smoother it comes into our
Yeah.
life, and the more we
And
do the
anything and
opposite.
everything.
And to use our metaphor, like we pull the car over and go, why aren't we in San Diego? Like that actually, just like the car trip, that makes your car trip longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you
And it
pull over,
doesn't stop us from getting it. It
right.
just prolongs the inevitability
Well,
of it.
unless you just pull over infinitely, like if you just keep pulling the car over every
Yeah.
10 seconds,
Yeah, but you could pull the
you
car
might
car
die before
over.
you get to
No,
San
no, but
Diego.
you could pull the car over, or you could go into a diner, but if you started feeling better and having fun
Yeah,
and feeling good, eventually what
you'll
you
get back
want
in the
will
car.
come. A bunch of other stuff. So here's the second part to what I was saying. You've already done the hard part, which is living the contrast. Now your part is have fun. Now your part is easy. Now your part is feeling good. I'm like, OMG, like this whole setup of the game of life is freaking fun. And we had to throw in all these other things that have nothing to do with how to play the game of life and win.
Yeah.
So now we've lived the contrast. We've asked. Step two, it's been given. Universe is on it. Our inner being is focused on it. It's done. Now, step three, allow. Go
I
relax.
think it's why it's so frustrating for people who don't know that and don't understand that, because you like, if you wanted to, I mean, it's anything, but if you know, let's say you wanted to become, I don't know, like a florist or something. I mean, you could put into Google or, you know, the YouTube search, like, how do I become a florist? I don't mean to single out the florist industry. It goes for anything, but any video or article that you will find on the internet, like literally any article about that, is going to list steps. You know, here's how you learn about flowers. Here's how you open your own, you know, here's how you find the right shop in the right location. Here's how you do business licenses for your local area, you know, so that you open a business legally or whatever. But it's all, and they're not wrong, but they're all steps. The only thing that's in there is steps for you to do. The part of the equation that is never in that is you have to be in a vibration that allows your vision of that to come to fruition. Because if you go into that process with a strong vibration based on starting with your thoughts and beliefs of like, well, I want to be a florist, but I'll never be able to. And then and so you're kind of carrying this negative energy into that process. It doesn't matter how good the article or the video is or how well they lay out the steps. Like when you go to learn about, you know, when you go to take a class about flowers, the class will already be full, or it'll be too expensive for you, or whatever. And then even if you take the class, then when you try to find the right location, there won't be a good location. You know, it's
Or you could want to become a florist because you love flowers and you're
yeah,
excited because you find this article and you read it all and you're like, oh my God, here's the next thing I need to do. And so you're on the way down to the city building and you're like, I'm gonna get my business, you know. So
yeah.
there's these two different ways that we could go about it, right? And we've
And
talked about that.
I was thinking just this morning actually that like this is something that I've really learned about the art of allowing, and it's like it's still not second nature to me. Like I still have to like work really hard to remind myself of this, which is to allow the universe. Like my job isn't to like go find the steps. My job is to get into a state or do something that puts me in a state where I let the universe show me what the right steps for me are.
The next right
Yeah.
steps. Yeah, yeah.
And that
And
is
then
really
inspired
different.
action. I love inspired action. Ooh.
But it's so funny because this morning I don't remember what it was, but it was something I'm been trying to attract into my life, and I was thinking my old beliefs, like, man, I really got to like find an article or something, and I'm like, oh, but and I did catch myself, so I did catch myself
Cool.
like, oh, I'm in negative energy with that. I'm thinking about what can I do to go find what to do, but I'm also in this negative like, but I don't have it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's like at the same time I realized, oh, there's somebody that I talk to on a pretty regular basis. And whenever I talk to that person, this friend of mine, I feel great. And the right idea or next step comes naturally out of the conversation. So the universe has already shown me, and I've had so many conversations with that person. So, I mean, the universe has already shown me over and over and over again, Collin, if you want to attract certain things in your life, talk to this person. That's
Mm,
the way you find the next, as you say,
yeah,
indication, the
yeah,
next
yeah.
indicated step. But so often I still go, well, I got to do it on my own, and I got to search, and I got to,
Yeah,
it's going
yeah,
to be
yeah.
hard, and
Yeah.
like might not work, you know. And it's like it's really it was frustrating when I walked myself through that, because I'm like, I started out with like, well, geez, I don't have it, and I don't know how to get it, and I don't know how I'm going to figure out how to go get it. And then I was like, I've already gotten stuff like that many, many times. And I already know how, and my brain just doesn't go there first yet, you know?
Oh, but you caught it,
Yeah,
dude, you caught it, and
I
you
did.
caught
Yeah,
it in the moment, and then you
yeah,
were able to go like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that.
yeah,
I'm gonna go over here
yeah,
because, because my experience has been it always shows up. It'll show
yeah,
up and, that was so
yeah.
good. That and I
And
think that's
I think people, I'm guessing, I only know about myself, but I'm guessing that people might think like, well, I don't. whatever Collin just talked about, I don't have that friend or I don't have that process. I bet you do. It's different for everybody. And it might be different for you based on what you're trying to attract. Like if you want a new car, maybe talking to your dad is the wrong thing. Maybe talking to your dad's the right thing, but maybe it's the wrong thing, for
Or you
you.
don't even have to have someone in your life, like you were saying, that friend,
Yeah.
but just knowing the friend you do have is law of attraction.
Yeah.
Because we can either have law of attraction work for us or against us, depending on how I'm feeling. If I'm in a grouchy mood,
Yeah.
I am not working with the law of attraction on
Yeah.
my behalf. If I'm in a really good mood or I'm in a good mood, I am being of benefit to myself, and law of attraction is responding.
Yeah.
So, and it could come from I'm standing in line at the grocery store and I can hear somebody behind me or in front of me, and they're talking about exactly what the next thing I need.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's happened many times. I used to buy this deodorant. It's this natural, it's a mineral salt rock or whatever. And I was trying to go natural, and you would use it, but I'd still get like smelly armpits. It didn't work. And I was like, man. And then I was standing, and this had happened like a couple of years in, and I just was like, forget it. And I was at Sprouts one day, and went by the vitamin aisle, and I saw the employee talking to a customer, and they've got the deodorant in their hand, and I overhear them talking, and I beeline it to them because she's telling him the proper way to use it. You
Yeah.
wet it on a clean armpit, put it on, and then you wash it, and then put it on. So your armpits need to be clean, and then you wash it on each of this. And it's worked. I've used it for a decade now. It's awesome. So in my experience of it not working, I shot out desires like, I really want to use this thing. I don't want to use a natural product. And I allowed it in that day, and I've been using it ever since. So we never know how it's going to come about.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the letting go and trusting. And like you said, I've had this time and time again where this has happened, and it eventually shows up.
Yeah. Great discussion. All right. Thank you so much for listening or watching, whichever you did today. We're so happy that you joined us. We hope you got something great out of the discussion. Remember that we are posting a brand new episode every Monday morning for you at this point. We truly appreciate you also doing whatever your platform allows you to do to support the podcast. All our social media links and our email address are down in the description in the doodly-doo in the YouTube version below. We wish you a happy, abundant week, and we look forward to you joining us again on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.
Bye.